Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Dyckman, and I am a career counselor. I walk the gray line between helping job seekers to land the job of their dreams and helping businesses to thrive. Today, we are going to talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn for job seekers, getting started and creating your profile. The first thing I'm going to do is share my screen with you so you can see what I'm talking about and follow along. All right, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. All right, very good. So, LinkedIn for job seekers, part 1. Now, before you start to build your profile, make sure that you have watched Job Seeker presentations, Job Search 1, episodes 1, 2, and 3. It will help you to not have to reinvent the wheel and do more work for yourself. But this video is the most important part of job search, not your interview skills, not your resume, but the use of LinkedIn. So you want to pay attention, rewatch the video and watch again. If you need to, make a screenshot of the presentation. Look at your keyboard on a Microsoft computer, check the top of your keyboard, press the print screen button, and it is magically in your mouse. Hit the right part of your mouse, and then you can copy and paste it into a Word document. So you have all of the slides. It might be a little bit easier for you as opposed to writing everything down. But feel free to rewatch the information because it is very important. In general, most of this creating your profile does not change. It might change locations and importance, but for the most part, it is pretty consistent. All right. A lot of people ask me, well, why LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn is a professional social site. It is not Facebook. It is not Instagram. It's a little bit different and perceived as different amongst the professional community. If you're active, 87% of LinkedIn users, active users, are open to new opportunities, whether they're looking for a job or not. And LinkedIn helps you to be found by recruiters and hiring managers. Remember, networking is the #1 way that you will land a position. So what can you do on LinkedIn? Well, the first thing that you can do is obviously network with existing connections and let them know about opportunities that you're interested in and make those other connections. You can also manage the information that's available about you, okay? So instead of somebody assuming or saying things, you can put the words in their mouth, part of your personal brand. You can use LinkedIn to ask for help and find out, pick people's brains, get answers to your questions that you may have. People on LinkedIn are willing to help, and if they're able, they will. And if they don't know the answer, they'll connect you with the person that can help to answer that question for you. Most people think LinkedIn is a job board. Yes, you can search for and apply to jobs, but it is so much more. So use the job board that is available, but know that you can go a step further. We'll talk about that later on. You can use LinkedIn for professional recommendations. Most people say, I have a paper written, referral, or I did a good job at this job, 10 years ago, and somebody wrote me a recommendation. And that's fine, and that's a great thing. But you can use it for professional recommendations. We're going to talk about that as well. In addition, you can use LinkedIn with membership as a professional learning site. Remember, the more knowledge you have, the more powerful you are. Knowledge is power. Getting on LinkedIn is not enough. You may have heard this, you may have not, but just because you have a profile doesn't mean you're going to get called. So you want to use LinkedIn on a daily basis to get noticed so that people see your comments and suggestions. It's a networking tool and it does require activity. So spending some time on LinkedIn is definitely a huge help. Instead of thinking LinkedIn is a job board, you want to use LinkedIn as career management as opposed to just in job search mode. Even when you land a job, you're still using LinkedIn to make further connections. Remember the passive person looking for a position, right? Or help somebody else up, help them land as well. Remember, it's not just big employers that are using LinkedIn. In Monmouth County, we have the bulk of our employers are small businesses. 94% are small businesses, under 100 people, all right? So you will see jobs for them as well as for big companies. Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies are on there. If you're looking for a position with them, we know 95% of Fortune 500 companies are using LinkedIn to find qualified candidates. It is the preferred job board for professionals, not Indeed, not Zip. LinkedIn is huge, so I would definitely check that out. We also know that 87% of recruiters are using LinkedIn on a regular basis. There are many, many different statistics that are located right here on this page. We know all of these things to be true. So I would definitely encourage you to check LinkedIn out because not only are there job listings, there are remote job listings. And there are different ways that you can use LinkedIn to find out more about different job opportunities, especially if you are in that job search mode, passive or aggressively looking. This map is from LinkedIn and it shows a little bit about the different countries, who's on LinkedIn, and where you want to go. Obviously, United States, we have the most people on LinkedIn. 188 million people are on LinkedIn. But when you break that down, how many people are daily using LinkedIn or using it every other day? Or do they just have a profile up and they haven't touched it in months? Okay, the person that is using and commenting gets their profile shown to other people, and that's how you get noticed. So you want to make sure that you are using LinkedIn. So what should you do? Well, we know LinkedIn changes and it changes constantly. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft and they're always trying new things. They want to see what works and what doesn't work. In order to stay up to date with those changes, you want to check your own profile consistently, daily, just to see if it looks the same, if it's laid out the same, and that kind of thing, right? Just to know what it's looking like for a user. And if you want to make a change, you can. From a LinkedIn user, here's a quote. LinkedIn is an irreplaceable tool in my career. The ability to show employers the exact experience and skill sets that you have on hand in your profile, it ultimately helped me to get the job. That's from a LinkedIn member. Many, many people say the same thing. So I would recommend that you get on LinkedIn. All right, so what's the difference between LinkedIn and a resume? Well, your LinkedIn profile is general. Your LinkedIn profile will look the same as my LinkedIn profile, which will look the same as a CEO's profile. They're all the same. A resume, it's tweaked, right? It's going to change just a tiny bit with the keywords from the different job descriptions for what you're applying for, right? It's very specific to the job, whereas a LinkedIn is more general, right? LinkedIn, you can go on forever. If you want to go back to 1800, you can. It can go on forever. Where a resume, you don't have time. You don't have space to put everything you've ever done. Where LinkedIn, you can. LinkedIn allows you to choose skills, multiple skills. It allows you to include projects that you completed, tag others if you worked on a co-project. Maybe you have a patent. You don't have room for all that stuff, but in LinkedIn, you can. LinkedIn also shows recommendations from other people. Pats on the back. Yes, I would definitely hire that person. You can't do that with your resume. Again, there isn't enough room, right? When you're applying to a job, a recruiter usually reads your resume and then goes to your LinkedIn profile to read more about you and to see what else you've done to verify that you are a real person. Before they even read a cover letter, it's usually the order. So you want to have your LinkedIn up to date and current to match your resume. Now, you will see a lot of statistics in the next couple slides. You're 12 times more likely to be found by including at least 2 past job experiences. We've all seen, they're okay profiles, and we've seen really outstanding profiles, right? The ones that are really outstanding get more hits. They get looked at more often than the ones that are incomplete. A lot of people will say, hey, how do I get to 100 complete? 100%. We're going to go over that as well. But a complete profile is 20 times more likely to get views and 36 times more likely to get messages. LinkedIn spent a lot of time doing these statistics to pass them on to you. I would definitely take note. Again, what's the worst that would happen if you only got 15 times as opposed to 20 times more views, right? It's still more often than a resume. So I would definitely check it out and try and make that a priority when you are in job search. There are lots of endorsements and skills that are added. And keep in mind, how do you surf the internet? Most people are using some kind of mobile phone. And with that mobile device, they have a little bit of a different screen than a desktop. So we're going to want to create your profile to cater to them as well. All right, let's get started. So to begin to set up your profile, you want to go to linkedin.com, right? That's going to help you get set on your profile. First, it's going to ask you for a password. You want to use your own password and a personal email address. You don't want to use a professional email address. Well, why? Well, what if you do get fired? You have no access to your LinkedIn profile. So you always want to use a personal email address so that you can get in anytime to change, to update, whatever it is. That's always your primary email address. And most important, you always want to customize your URL. So whatever your name is, linkedin.com/John Smith, right? As opposed to numbers at the very end, we don't want to keep it generic. and LinkedIn will assign you numbers just to get you started, but you want to go in and customize it from that point. You can choose to run your LinkedIn headshot through Photo Feeler. Now, with that, a lot of people say to me, oh, I do not want my photo on the internet. Well, it's 2022, and 9 times out of 10, you're probably already there anyway. But that's neither here nor there. Keep in mind, members with profile views are up to 14 times more likely and 31 times more connections with a picture. People are networking with you. They are not networking with your profile. So you may have done all these things, but if there's no picture, they will overlook you and move on. So keep in mind that your headshot, whatever you're looking at, your eyes, that's your virtual handshake in 2022 and beyond. So keep that in mind. A picture is always recommended, and it's a professional picture. It's not a picture of you and your family or you and your children or you and your dog or your cat. You can absolutely have hobbies, and you can include those on your profile, but they're not networking with your dog. They are networking with you. So it's really important, no matter how important your animals are to you, or your hobbies are to you, or your family is to you, that they are seeing you and your eyes and being able to make that connection with you. When you don't include it, you are passed over. It's very important to include that. LinkedIn gives you another option to not only include a profile picture of yourself, but a banner picture. What is a banner picture? Banner picture could be your dog. It could be your city. It could be the building that you currently work at, or tell a little bit about your passion. You might include logos. You might include certifications and, whatever those logos of the certifications are, or many certifications, you have those in your banner. There are a lot of different examples. Take a look and see what other people are doing in order to create your own banner. You don't want to stress about it too much. You can always change things, but when you look at people's profile, you don't want to see anything gray. And if it's just a gray box that LinkedIn provides, then you might get passed over again. People do judge. All right. So definitely take a look and see what you can do with that. All right. So now we're at the profile. Your profile includes a lot of different sections. Remember, I said you can go on and on and on forever. So we're going to talk about each of these sections and how to get started. All right. When you include something for every single section, you will reach that 100% all-star status. Some people say, well, I only got 80%, I get 85%, I got 60%. When you include something for each section, which if you think really hard, I bet you could, okay? You will achieve that 100% all-star. People that have 100% all-star status on their profile tend to get looked at more often. So keep that in mind. All right, your headline is the first thing. Your headline consists of 220 characters without icons or emojis, so please don't use those. Now, what do you want to be when you grow up? What industry would call you what, right? In order to be found. Never use the company title. Whatever title the company gave you is not your title. I am, what are you, right? What is your personal brand? What do you want people to know about you? Think about all those things and come up to 100, 220 characters in order to make it stick and be intriguing. Make the reader want to continue reading the rest of your profile. If they're looking for a project manager and you are a registered nurse, that doesn't necessarily mean the right thing, right? So what do you want to be? What do you want people to know you as? Be very specific because that is marketing space. You only have 220 characters to tell a stranger to keep reading. And again, how many people are from the United States on LinkedIn? We know there's over 870 million people on LinkedIn worldwide. And you add up all those numbers from the chart. There's 188 right now in the USA. You're one person. So how are you going to stand out? Be very specific. When you include your location, a lot of people will ask me, well, I come from XYZ city or town. Well, a lot of times a recruiter works across the country in a different state. They're not familiar where your town is in relation to New York City or Atlantic City or Philadelphia or any metro area. And you may be outside of that metro. It doesn't mean that that's the job you're looking for, but they need to know approximately where you're located. Okay, so it's better to not use a particular town, but to use New York City metro area or Philadelphia metro area for your location in this area. Okay, if you relocate to, I don't know, San Francisco, then you want to use San Francisco metro area or the such. Let people know what part of the United States that you're looking for. It also lets you include, do you want full-time, part-time, remote opportunities, hybrid opportunities, only on-site? You can do all of that and tell LinkedIn what you're looking for as a job seeker, but you have to make it easy to be found. Adding your industry is also another thing, and it's huge. It will rise you to the top of that all-star profile completion. However, you want to use something that's pre-populated by LinkedIn. That's how recruiters are looking for potential candidates. And if you make up your own industry, you may not be found by a recruiter because they're using LinkedIn's suggestions. Okay, so it's definitely something to take note of. What industry are you in? The About section. In your About section, tell us about your experience. Each experience is limited to 2,600 characters, right? You want to have at least 40 words, but for someone reading your About section, you want to make sure that it's showing what's in it for me. Why should I even keep reading? The About section is formally known as the summary. So if you were to correlate it to your resume, what are your career summary? What your career objective? Your what's about me? You know, your personal brand. A lot of different ways people are looking at that. At the very least, at the bottom of your About section, you want to put a contact information in there, whether it's your cell phone or your email address. Another way that people can contact you. Some people have LinkedIn Recruiter, some people don't. And if they use LinkedIn to scour different profiles, They have no way of getting in touch with you because they can't see your contact information. We will talk about that in later editions of LinkedIn for job seekers and connections. However, it's definitely recommended that you include that information. The first 35 words are the most important in your About section. Remember, we said some people use a mobile device, their cell phone, their smartphone, to read LinkedIn, to use it for job search. Some people use a desktop. If they're using a mobile device, they can only see a little bit of your About section. So the first 35 words is about what they can see. You want to use keywords, but leave them with keep reading. You want them to press the see more so that they keep reading about you and learning about what you're bringing to the table. So that is why the first 35 words are the most important. They're viewable, right? For that, if you can add rich media, features, showing examples of your work, that's also just kind of giving the words that you're using a little bit of credibility. And it's showing your technology skills. In the experience section, you want to make it sparkle, right? You are catering about where you work, location, what was your title, the company that you use, especially if it is a Fortune 500 company, you want to name drop that company, right? Some hiring managers are actually looking up potential hires based on their past experiences, their past jobs with certain companies. Maybe a JD Edwards recruiter wants to only hire somebody from Merrill Lynch because they have Merrill Lynch experience. Do you? If so, you might want to include Merrill Lynch in your experience section to help you rise to the top for that particular hiring manager. You don't know how a hiring manager or a recruiter might be searching, so just like your resume, change and change it up again. Try one way, try for 6 weeks. If that doesn't work, if it's not yielding you what you are looking for, then maybe you want to change some words again to put you to the top of their pile. In your work experience, make sure it's complete, okay, and it's current. Members with up-to-date and current positions receive more connection requests and profile views. If you took all of these 5 times, 8 times, 21 times, if you took all of that into consideration, why would you not have a complete profile, right? Now, if your title was unique and nobody else has that, then you may want to use a couple more words to describe what you did. So if your title was unique to that company, use a bullet saying internally known as blah, 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 right? So that people know who is who and what is what and what you did. That'll help. Canva is a wonderful tool available for free to create colorful graphs and charts and even background images for you to use under the image part. What do you want to be when you grow up? We've asked that before several times. Before you start LinkedIn, you really need to know. And when you're going through your work experience, not that career changers, nothing counts because we have talked about transferable skills, but weed out things that don't matter anymore. Even though you can go back to 1800 for all of your experience and everything that you've ever done, how many recruiters are going to read that far? So you want to keep in mind that even though you can add lots and lots of things and everything from the beginning of time for yourself, you may not want to include stuff that's not relevant to the job that you are going for next. Keep that in mind and create your profile accordingly. All right, now we're on education, licenses, certifications, all that stuff that matters, right? Well, again, keep it relevant. If you're going for a, I don't know, chef position and you have a real estate license, might not be congruent. It might not matter that you have that license credential for real estate and you're going for a chef position. It has nothing to do with it. So keep it congruent, right? When you have some kind of education or certification, you want to include that to prop you up. Any college counts. If you went to college for, I don't know, dog grooming or horticulture or for business, it doesn't matter. You went to college, put it on there. But if you have a certification, you want to keep the certification relevant to the job that you are searching for. Use LinkedIn for autofills and drop-downs. If LinkedIn has an autofill or drop-down, you want to use their choices. It might not be exactly the industry or the certification that you have, but that's, again, how recruiters and hiring managers are searching for you and the person that they want to fill the position. So I definitely recommend not creating your own, but using what LinkedIn has created. You can leave off dates when it comes to education, certification, or you can include them. It really is up to you. If it's older, you might want to leave them up. If it's newer within the past couple of years, you might want to keep it on. It's up to you. Try things for 6 weeks. And if it's not working, try something else for 6 weeks. Volunteer experience is next. I know it just goes on and on. There's so much to do. Members that add volunteer experience can get more views, 6 times more profile views. Giving back to the community matters. We talked about that in resumes. Well, that happens to be true in your LinkedIn profile as well. Especially volunteer activities that showcase and prove the use of your different skill set. If you claim to have certain skills and abilities, then using that or showing it in a volunteer capacity is definitely helping to boost you up as well. All right. So whatever you have done that has something to do with who you are and how you give back, I would definitely showcase it and add it to your profile. Skills and endorsements. Well, skills and endorsements are a tricky thing, right? It's kind of like your core competencies on your resume. Skills and endorsements are something that you pick. You can have up to, I don't know, 40 or 50 skills and endorsements, but it has to be exact. So if you have something like Microsoft Office listed, awesome. If you have Microsoft Word listed, awesome. But if a recruiter is looking for Microsoft Excel and you didn't say Microsoft Excel, but you said Microsoft Office, it's not a word match. You can't be everything to everyone, so do the best that you possibly can. Then you're going to get endorsements for those skills. Someone that's seen you in action using Microsoft Office or Excel or whatever it happens to be. the more people that endorse you for that skill, huge. Now you have the ability, again, changes, happens all the time, but you have the ability to showcase under your experiences what skills you used under that experience. So if you use Microsoft Excel under the latest job, then you're allowed to add that under the job as well. And it will ask you all of those questions. So you want to have that complete because it just brings you up. Okay. You can also give endorsements to others that are in your network. This is huge. If somebody endorses you for a skill, their picture will show up on your page. Wow! If you endorse somebody else for a skill set, your profile picture shows up on their page. Wow! So definitely recommend trying to increase that so that you're seen not only by your network, but somebody else's network as well. Recommendations. Remember I said we would talk about that? Well, here we are. Recommendations are at the bottom of your profile, but recommendations mean more than a reference, or recommendation means more than that piece of paper that somebody wrote for you. They're putting their reputation on the line, and you want to make sure that it's valid and it's true. So when you ask somebody for a recommendation for your skill set or for work that you completed at XYZ Corporation, whatever it happens to be, it does mean a lot. And they're writing it down, and you have the veto power. You can say, nah, I don't like that. I don't want to. And you don't include it in your profile, or you do. You get the final say. If somebody wrote a recommendation that's full of typos or misspellings or grammar errors, well, you don't want to put that on your profile because it doesn't really show the professional person that you are. So you have the option to be able to send it back to that person to fix those corrections before you absolutely put it on your profile. Okay. So you get to pick what you want people to focus on. Do you want them to focus on your customer service skills or your Microsoft skills or your project management skills, or what is in your profile that you would like them to speak about? It's recommended from LinkedIn. You have at least one recommendation per job that you have listed, if not more. And it's always good to give recommendations to another person. Not only will your name show up on their profile and anyone looking at them, but makes you feel good, and karma goes around, comes around. It's definitely worthwhile for you. Accomplishments. Accomplishments include a lot of different things, and they used to be a little bit separated. And when Microsoft took over LinkedIn, they kind of combined these accomplishments. So you will see different headings for those accomplishments. Include whatever you possibly can that you've done. All right, because it's only going to sell your value a little bit more. It could be a publication or a patent or a project that you worked on with yourself or with a group of people, and maybe they're on LinkedIn, maybe they're not. You can tag them and add them to your listing of what that is. Maybe you received an honor or, a quarterly award from, 2 jobs ago. Include that because it, again, is showing your value as a worker. All right. You speak more than one language. How proficient are you? That kind of thing. What groups are you a part of on LinkedIn or off LinkedIn, volunteering, all of that stuff. Definitely check it out. A lot of people will ask me, well, what about ageism? And I don't want to show my picture because it'll see my gray hair or my wrinkles, or I'm too young, and the entry level jobs, they all want, you know, 4 years of experience, and I look like I'm 12, but I'm really 24. And there's all kinds of ageism. Ageism exists. It does. What can we do to counteract that? Focus on the future. You are what you are. You can't change who you are. But if you focus on your usefulness and not your age or how many years of experience you have, because that shows your age as well, right? So think about all those things and how we can reword them to make them a little bit more marketable to a stranger, to a reader. Okay, talk about what you have accomplished and learned so that you can mentor or be prepared to address issues that your field, your industry might be looking at or going to be encountering, but be specific. All right, all of these are going to help counteract ageism. All right, make sure when you're creating your profile, it's private, okay? You can click the Me icon, which is at the top black bar on your home page. And under the drop down, you can make additional changes. You can edit your profile. You can add the open to work circle around your photograph. You can change your, you can do all kinds of things. Under privacy, there's huge amounts of changes that you can make. But please, I beg you, read all of the changes and the options because things are different and you might not have known that that was even there. Changing your profile to whether you want to have your actual everything shown that you look somebody up, or maybe you want to stalk people and look them up without them seeing you. You can turn everything off. So you can do all of those things under privacy settings. So LinkedIn does give you a lot of different options for that. So check it out, but please read it and you can change it back. So it's not consistent. I mean, it go back and forth, and that's fine too. This is what it looks like when you do the drop down, right? You can see the account preferences and you can change your profile for security, your visibility, profile on, profile off, right? We talked about stalking people. Communications, do you want an email for every group announcement, or do you want it only once a week, a summary, or but you can do dark mode if you'd like, or white, or you can do a lot of different things, okay? But you're in control. We talk about this a lot. Do not plagiarize somebody else's profile, but definitely don't reinvent the wheel. Do you really think that you're the only person in the whole world that's organized? 870 million people, you're the only person that's organized? No, you probably aren't. But you might be unique when you add other words to the word organized. That's a little bit different. So you're not plagiarizing, but what are other people saying about themselves? What is it about you that you're bringing to the table that makes you unique? Many people can be organized, but you're bringing that different extra something to organizational skills, right? What about the people that you want to be like, you really admire? Well, 9 times out of 10, they're on LinkedIn. What does their profile say about them? What are they doing and sharing? Who are they following to get information? If you want to be like them, Maybe you want to follow those same people or join similar or the same groups so you can get the information that they're getting to be more like them. That is part of not reinventing the wheel. And who knows? You might actually have a conversation with somebody you really, really, really admire that you want to be like, that you have put on a pedestal, and you have the conversation and realize they're just like you. But what are they doing? What are they saying? And how can you be more like them? You want recruiters to easily find you, and maybe they will find you. Who knows? That's all we have for today. So I encourage you to get started on your profile and create everything. And you can reinvent it and do it again and change it up a bit, but at least get started and see what people are doing and what they're saying. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. And next, we're going to talk about making connections and then finding a job. So long. Take care now. Bye.